The NFL draft is 6 days away, and we are continuing our series with one mock draft per day leading up to the draft, each day adding an additional round as we expand on the picks for the Carolina Panthers. Without further ado, let's get right in.
Ultimate Carolina Panthers experience. Welcome to Two Growls, One Roar, the podcast that hits harder than a Luke Kuechly tackle. We're diving deep into the heart of Panther Nation, bringing you unrivaled passion, insider takes, and pure gridiron fire. From Wilmington to the cosmos, this is your home for the fiercest football talk east or west of Charlotte.
Welcome in, folks, to another episode of the Two Growls, One Roar podcast. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Please leave your comments on Spotify, YouTube. Let me know, or Instagram if you want to get to me there. Let me know what you guys think. And, of course, Facebook, if you still use it. We are on Facebook. So today, we're expanding. We're doing 2 rounds. So if you are not following this series, 7 days of mock draft. So I'm not a big mock draft person, but the NFL draft is here. It's that time of year. So we're going to do 1 mock draft per day, expanding on the number of picks along the way. So yesterday was the first round. Today we're doing the first and the second round. Tomorrow we'll do the first, second, and third. You get the picture. I know the Panthers don't have a 6th-round pick, so we're going to find some fun. Now, mock drafts are going to vary. I'm not going to do the same players every single time just to add some variety. So if you don't see the guy that you want picked in this mock draft today, don't worry. They can eventually come up, but I'm curious to know what you guys think. So without further ado, let's get into the mock draft. Starting things off with a bang on mock draft 4.0. Again, 1 mock draft every day leading up to the NFL draft, folks. The bells have chimed, and there's news. It's a trade. That's right. The Carolina Panthers are sending their first-round pick number 8, to the Arizona Cardinals for their first-round pick, which is 16th overall, and getting a second-round pick back as well with pick 47. I like this for a few reasons. Number one, Panthers only moved back 8 spots. I've said for the past few weeks, if you're in that 5 to 6 range all the way up to 20, you're going to get a really good football player. Probably, same level of talent within that range itself. But I don't want the Panthers to move back too far. I don't want them dipping into the 20s or 25 or 30 just so they can pick up an early second-round pick. I don't want that. I don't. Unless you get some crazy offer where you're moving back that far and getting a first next year or a second or something crazy. Yeah. So we're staying within the realm of a transaction I like. So in this case, Panthers move back 8 spots. They get an additional pick, so they close the gap. You'd love to see it move a little bit closer within the second round, but pick 47 is not bad. So you get 16, 47, and 57. So 3 picks in today's draft. What exactly are we going to do? Let's go ahead and kick things off with round 1, pick 16. Carolina Panthers select Jihaad Campbell, linebacker out of the University of Alabama. We're going to talk about his fit into the Panthers and where he sits today, or where I think he would fit. I like this. Now, you have to remember, moving back to 16, some of the guys that you may like, the Ted McMillans, the Burdens, maybe off the table. Golden, possibly still available. Really depends on who's sizing these things up. Michael Williams off the board. So a lot of these guys that maybe you like at pick number 8 are going to be wiped out. So it does leave us with some limited ability. To me, I like Jihaad Campbell as the best pure linebacker in this class. Now, maybe not the same skill set as a Jalen Walker to be able to come off the edge, but we've already heard that Dan Morgan and company view Jalen Walker as an edge. So this is a true linebacker. And you may say, well, the Panthers just spent a draft pick last year on a 3rd-rounder with Trevin Wallace. I'm personally not sold on Trevin Wallace. You know that, but I think maybe you get this young tandem duo in here behind Josie Jewell and Christian Roseboom, and they can develop, or potentially Campbell can take the lead. But let's talk about where he fits into the scheme. You go back and look at his stats. Not a lot of playing time in his freshman year. I don't know why they go from freshman to sophomore to senior in the where we pull down our stats. Doesn't matter. Not a lot of playing time freshman year. Sophomore year, 13 games played, 66 tackles, 4 for loss, half a sack, 1 interception, 3 pass deflections. This past year, 117 combined tackles, 12 for loss, and 5 sacks. A lot of production. And personally, we want to see production. We know that Dan Morgan and company have talked about production, guys that can do it at the highest level, and do it at one of the best conferences in all of college football in the SEC. So I like this pick for the Panthers, but as you may wonder, like, where does he fit in? So for me, I have Josey Jewell being our, in this 3-4 scheme, being the starter. I think Jihaad Campbell could push Trevin Wallace or Christian Roseboom to be the starter. I do think he's that good, and I do think he's a notch above Trevin Wallace. It's not a knock on Wallace, just the way I see it. So you could have this tandem of Josey Jewell and Jihaad Campbell as your 1-2 punch. You could flip this, and you could say, maybe we go with the veteran approach and put Christian Roseboom and Josey Jewell as your 2 starters, with your 2 young guys, Jihaad Campbell and Trevin Wallace, behind them, filling in the gaps. And we all know that injuries can happen, so guys can get pushed up the ladder much sooner than we anticipate. Unfortunately, we saw Shaq Thompson go down the past 2 years, and that was forced upon us. And Trevin Wallace missing time as well. Josey Jewell missing time. Like, these guys missed time. But I like this. I think this is a really good linebacking room, and especially when you talk about Dan Morgan, a linebacker, valuing the defense. And I get it. Maybe we didn't get an edge early enough for you guys. I still think there's edge talent that could be available in the second round. I like the presence. And you think about the good Carolina Panthers teams that we have had here. They've been foundational with a core linebacking group that is good. So I like getting that room locked up. They are the captain, the leaders of your defense, the quarterback, so to speak. So it's all good stuff for me. Now, round 2, pick 47, remember, acquired this via the trade with the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe this will make folks a little bit happier. Jayden Higgins, wide receiver out of Ohio State, round 2, pick 47. So again, maybe you are someone that wants a wide receiver, you want them early. I do think if the Panthers are going to go this route, it would be nice if they have an additional pick in the second round. Otherwise, waiting until the 3rd, yes, there may be a guy on the board, but I feel like if they're going to get a true impact player for Bryce Young, it's got to happen earlier than the 3rd or 4th. Just my take. Doesn't mean it's going to, unfold that way, but I do like Jayden Higgins, especially in the second round, if he's there. That's the thing. He may go earlier. You may have a team that falls in love with him. We think about a weaker-ish wide receiving class. Someone may decide, you know what, we value him enough to move up and get him early. But considering the mock that fell the way it did for me, we took him. So you look at his production here at Iowa State back in 2023, 983 yards, 53 receptions, 6 touchdowns. And his senior year, 87 receptions, 1,183 yards, 9 touchdowns, 91 yards per game. I really like him. And again, where he fits, now this is up for debate. I think the difference, I'll take it back here for a second. I think the difference with me and Xavier Legette and thinking about Tech McMillan, I do think Tech McMillan, or whoever your guy is, Luther Bird and Golden, would likely be the X, the number 1 receiver. And then that bumps the roster around. Now, when we get into talking about these other guys possibly in the 2nd, 3rd round, I do think it changes the dynamic. In this case, I think it leaves Xavier Legette as your X, your number 1. I don't know how I feel about it, but that's just the way it plays out in my opinion. I don't think there's change with Adam Thielen in the slot and Coker, of course, running a lot of the slot, and Z out wide. Maybe in this scenario, if this was the case, you could argue with me. I think that you would have Jalen Coker potentially as your starter. So Jalen Coker over Jayden Higgins. And I think that makes more sense. So I just don't know production-wise, like what we're going to get. And to be honest, the Panthers have not done that well drafting in the second round with wide receivers. So maybe they just decide this year they're not even going to touch a receiver in the second round. Not saying they should or shouldn't, but you never know. And that leaves us with the last pick of the second round, round 2, pick 57, the pick that the Panthers currently own, assuming nothing changes or happens. Let's take a look at this pick. Now, it's been, and I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, guys, if you're watching on the live video there or on Spotify. Round 2, pick 57, we go with defense. Princely Umanmielen. I cannot say that name fast. Edge out of Ole Miss. I like the value. I just don't know that he's going to be here. Like, if we're being honest, when we start talking about some of these guys later, some of these are guys that could be off the board. But if the Panthers, again, I mean, I wouldn't even be mad if they double dip at edge. If they get 2 edge players that can get to the quarterback, it is so important for this team to get guys that can get to the quarterback, that can create pressure, and of course, guys that can get the job done. Panthers need it. Stopping the run, of course, important too, setting the edge, all those things. So this is a good pick for me. You look at his production, he is a more experienced player. You can see he played 4 years at Florida, transferred to Ole Miss, so a little bit older, maybe a little bit wiser. But you can see the uptick in production year over year. Not a lot of playing time his freshman year, but then sophomore, junior, senior, pretty much played all the time at Florida. Production-wise, 1.5 sacks in 21, 4.5 in 22, 7 in 2023. And then this past season, 37 combined tackles, 14 tackles for loss, and 10.5 sacks. Again, if we want to continue to talk about production potentially being the unit of measurement, you got the SEC, you got production. Both of those things that Dan Morgan and company have talked about quite a bit through the offseason. So where exactly would he fit? Now, I think this is another question that I have. And regardless of who the Panthers pick, assuming they get an edge, I even think, just given the state of where the room is now with DJ Wonnum, Patrick Jones, and Jadeveon Clowney, I don't know who's starting out of this bunch. I would say DJ Wonnum, possibly Jadeveon Clowney, but he is a little bit older. So does Patrick Jones take over, and is Jadeveon Clowney in the mix as a rotational piece? Either way, plugging in a pick here at edge, I think Princely would be probably your backup filling in. And of course, with DJ Wonnum, Clowney gone, but Wonnum chance to come back next year, but at least with Clowney likely out, it gives you a chance to develop some of these young guys. So what do you think, folks? Mock Draft 4.0. We'll look at a very short recap here. Jihaad Campbell got a B+ on that. Jayden Higgins was an A, and Princely was an A as well. I like this draft for the Carolina Panthers. If you are a fan of this and you enjoy it, remember, 1 mock draft per day. This is the second one. We'll have a few more coming, 5 more to go. As always, this is Carolina Dad. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all have a good one.